Hey everybody, it's Ryan. Now I'm standing here in the machine shed at Rockville, and I'm getting a little stir crazy. I've just been itching to get outside because just being stuck inside working on the house just drives me nuts. So I'm starting to go a little stir crazy. We got out in the field and we spread some manure the other day with the 7600. However, I was looking at the forecast and they're basically calling for rain every other day after tomorrow. So I figured, screw it, the field's dry enough. I'm going to go out and try to use the rock bucket that we got from Carl F. Stotts & Sons. And I'm going to head out there, see how nice it works. I got a couple places out in the big patch field out where we were spreading the manure where there are rocks. And we need to go out there and pick those up before we go out to plant. And we have a lot of those places across the farms. I'm really looking forward to putting this thing to high use. I got to go out and get the wagon with the 40/20 before we start picking up rocks for real. But right now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bobcat and the bucket out and I'm going to pick up the rocks and maybe go either dump them off the edge of the field or dump them down in the ditch somewhere. We do have quite a few ditches here below the barn, so I'd like to fill those with rocks if I could, but it depends how wet it is. We'll go see. So let's head out. So I'm sitting here with the Virnig bucket. I set it down because I had to get out of the bobcat. And I'm going to do a quick check to see how well it is at removing excess debris out of the bucket. And as you can see, it's doing pretty good. We have some corn in here, but see how much of this is actually rock. That's rock. obviously that's a rock. Those are rocks. So just by doing a quick skim across the ground, it does a pretty good job at cleaning up the smaller rocks. Look at all those rocks. Jesus. So I got the main farm here at Rockville done, and I just want to give you guys a few first thoughts about the rock bucket and what I thought of it. And I really like it. So this thing is a lot more handy to use picking up rocks than to use a traditional style bucket. And the reason I think that is because in the past when we've used the bucket, when you go to dig up a rock, you really can't get down into the ground. And then when you do, you tend to take a lot of dirt with you. What I found with this thing is that if you can set it at the right angle, you can run it through the ground kind of like a filter, kind of like a grater, I guess you could say. And a couple times I had it pointed just right where I could drive forward and the dirt would push right through and all the organic matter and all the rocks and everything would be stuck in the bucket. And then all I had to do to get the organic matter out was just shake the bucket when I lifted it up. And that worked pretty slick. I'm actually surprised in how fast I cleaned out that corner over there. That's been like that for as far back as I can remember, and that's kind of my goal, is to start cleaning up some of these rockier areas. Now I know that the soil over there is pretty shallow, and what happens when you get shallow soil is that, okay, yeah, there's rocks basically everywhere. It's just how deep they are. So what happens is, and especially shallow soils, this farm is probably our best farm in terms of soil quality. It's just that one spot that's not very good. You guys saw how big it was. But what happens is that as you get rain, the rain falls on the ground, it soaks through, it collects around and under the rocks, and then what happens during the winter is that ice, water, is one of the few things in this world that when it freezes, it expands. So what you have is freeze and thaw action. And what the freeze and thaw action does is it pushes the rocks out of the soil. And usually when the rocks are down deeper, you don't really have to worry about that because they're below the frost line. But anything above that frost line is going to start working its way out of the soil. And everybody has a certain amount of soil loss. So that's how you traditionally find over time that, okay, like, where are these rocks coming from? We've never had this problem before. That's where it's stemming from, is the fact that you're losing the topsoil. The frost line is receding down into the ground, and over time, I mean, I'm not talking just 1 or 2 years, over a longer period of time, the rocks do tend to work their way out of the soil. And having this thing for us is really handy because the farm down at Travis's place is very rocky, and my 11-acre field out here has a couple spots that are very rocky as well. And that's the big reason I bought this, is because I'm going to be switching that field over to soybeans for the first time in probably 5 years. So I don't want there to be any rocks, because having rocks can just cause so many problems as far as like messing with your chisel plow. They can break any of your shanks off. They can get sucked up by the bean head, get in there, break your chains on the combine head. And it's just not a very good situation that you want to have go on. So I think this Virnig rock bucket does have a place on this farm, all these farms, and I think we're going to keep it and continue to use it because, I mean, over time, more rocks are going to keep coming up, so you might as well have the rock bucket around. But not totally sure whether we're going to keep that here yet or not. It's one of those things where we'll see. So anyway, thanks for watching this video, guys. Be sure to check out all of our other ones. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And be sure to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. All how farms work. And I'll see you next time.